Good morning and welcome to this morning's reflection. I wonder if you ever have the sense that you are an imposter. The sense that you wear 1,000 different masks so that you can fit in, so that you can be accepted. Masks that protect you from exposing who you think that you are. And the person that you think will fall short of what you know will be admired by others. So it's this sense of, I can't let people see who I really am because it won't be enough. And so I will put on an appearance of being someone other than who I think I really am. And I know that in my life I have certainly felt this. And I think that many people have had this sense that if people only knew who I really was, they wouldn't value me. That sense that somehow we are being an imposter. Now this imposter aspect of ourselves, because it's only an aspect of ourselves, it's not our entire self. This imposter aspect of ourselves lives in fear. It lives in the fear of human disapproval. And that fear is so great that much of its behavior is rooted in the fear of rejection. And so perhaps you will try to be punctual, not because you think that that's necessarily an appropriate thing, but you're punctual because you are afraid of the negative opinions of others if you are late. And so your behavior is driven by the views and opinions of others. This imposter part of ourselves is preoccupied with acceptance and approval. It has a suffocating need to please others, and so very often cannot say no. It causes us to overextend ourselves in people, in projects, and in causes, and it is motivated not by commitment, but by the fear of not living up other people's expectations of us. The imposter, or the false self, is born when we as children were not loved, or when we were in some way rejected or abandoned. And I was particularly bullied when I was in grade 8, and I think that much of that sense of inadequacy comes from that period in my life. The imposter is the cause of codependence. So to gain approval, the false self suppresses its feelings, and making itself emotionally honest is impossible. And so it creates a compulsive desire to present a perfect image to the world so that it will be admired and nobody will actually know who the real person is. The imposter demands to be noticed, craves compliments, and in a sense, to the imposter aspect of ourselves, appearance is everything. Every one of us is shadowed by an illusionary person, a false self. And so Thomas Merton explains that this is the man I want myself to be, the man or the woman I want myself to be, but who cannot exist, because God does not know anything about that person. And to be unknown of God is altogether too much privacy. My false and private self is the one who wants to exist outside of the reach of God's will and God's love, outside of reality and outside of life. And such a self cannot help but be an illusion. We are not very good at recognizing illusions, least of all the ones we cherish about ourselves, the ones we were born with and which feed the roots of sin. For most people in the world, there is no greater subjective reality than this false self of theirs, which cannot exist. A life devoted to the cult of this shadowy self is what we call a life of sin. So, what can we do with this aspect of ourselves, this imposter, this false self? Well, the imposter must come out of hiding, must be accepted and embraced by the true self. For what is denied within us can never heal. We need to say, yes, I often inhabit an unreal world. I often trivialize my relationship with God. Or I'm driven by ambition. This is the final blow to the false self. When you say, yes, I see you. I see you. When we can accept this aspect of the false self, when we see it, then we come to a certain inner peace. If we do not embrace this shadow side, we are forced to become defensive so that it will remain hidden. So we must befriend the false self, befriend the imposter, accept our shadow. If we can be gentle with the false self, we can be gentle with others. But if we hate the imposter, then it is a type of self-hatred, because the imposter is part of the self. And if we hate this aspect of ourselves, we will hate others who exhibit a similar type of behavior. But when we accept this part of ourselves, this who we are, and we surrender it all to Jesus, we are enveloped by the peace that passes understanding, and we can finally let it go. And so today, if you are aware of this shadow aspect of yourselves, if you are aware of the imposter part of yourself, invite it in, embrace it, recognize it, and surrender it to God. Amen.